am style like a rose, and this is the path that shows. And just like a flower, I will blossom to the first light. There comes the rain, then comes the cold, then comes the sunlight. I will grow, I will flourish, just like a rose.
Welcome to Style with Roses. I am your host, Sibisi. In case you've missed some of the amazing episodes that we've had in the season so far, we are taking you on a journey in this season 3. We are looking at prominent profiles, personalities, and hidden figures from the diaspora. More often, we hear of many Zambians and Africans that have gone to different countries to probably up their education, better quality of life, curiosity of traveling, so many reasons. But there is so much value that we can get from individuals and persons that have traveled in the diaspora. And this is what we're doing on Style with Roses this season. We're bringing you these amazing personalities that share their journey in the diaspora, what they've learned when they were out there, and what they've brought back home. As you know, the diaspora value can contribute to the growth of our own economies. So let's appreciate them. Stay with us on Style with Roses as we bring you more in this episode. I'll see you soon. And we are back. Another interesting conversation lined up for you on Style with Roses. My name is Sibisi, and yet again, I bring you a very fascinating conversation, which I hope you are ready for. If you've been watching this season, we've been taking a journey down the diaspora. We're looking at how the diaspora has added value with the number of Zambians and Africans that are out there, and they've gone out to search for quality of life, education, and maybe just curiosity. So we've been bringing these amazing profiles right in your homes, in your offices, onto your screen so that you get to meet them up close and personal. So today is not any different because I have a very amazing woman, very fascinating, because she got an economics and finance degree up in New Delhi, lived in the United States with her family, came back home and went into the finance field, and then she's decided she's got the taste for good food. So then she's established her own catering company, and they call it CULINARY. So I'm not going to even try and pronounce, but I will get you to meet her just now because I'm super excited. I have with me today Madam Mwaka Munthali.
Rose, I'm so happy to be here.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I'm happy to have you here as well, because then I know I get to eat some good food.
Always.
Always.
You now have a free food coupon.
I'm trying to lose weight. We did pack up some.
We make healthy food.
Healthy
we make
food.
healthy food.
Okay, let's find out a little bit more about you before we get into it. So, if you've been watching, or even if it's your first time on Style with Roses, we get you to be a bit relaxed. So there is what we call the Rosy Minutes, so that we snoop a little bit into your life and see what you know and what you don't know.
All right.
But don't sweat it. It's not rocket science or right or wrong. Let's see how you do. So I'm going to ask you quick questions. Don't overthink it. Just tell me what the first thing that comes to your mind, right? Ready, let's go. What's the longest trip that you've ever taken?
From Zambia to China, I think that was long.
Who's the funniest person in your family?
Me, maybe.
We'll find out. What were your favorite television shows when you were growing up?
I think the Dynasty and Dallas.
I'm starting to guess your age when you started Dynasty Dallas. Okay, what's the biggest adventure you've been on?
I think my move on my own from New Delhi to Washington, D.C. That was a big adventure.
Ooh, we want to know about that.
Yes.
What was your worst haircut experience?
Oh my gosh. In America, I think I saw this hairstyle and I thought it would look nice. So you shave all your hair on one side and then you kind of prop it. I like, things coming.
You've got that going on right now.
Yeah. So I think I'm trying to rework that thing. But they shaved it.
So the inspiration was there.
Yeah, they shaved it, but it didn't look right after, a day or two from the salon.
All right, we'll try that out. Okay. Do you prefer pens or pencils?
Pencil.
Why?
Lets you be flexible. Okay. Change of mind, yes. Erase. Mm-hmm.
Who was your favorite teacher?
Mr. Kawe, he never used to beat us.
Well, these days we're hearing some horrid stories, but we won't go into that horrid stories about teachers beating their kids. But hey, there is a way in which you can discipline. So this one is not on there, but I'm just curious. What's with you and the color purple in your hair?
Oh my goodness.
I got you, didn't I? We want to know.
You're revealing secrets.
Yes, I am.
It is one of my favorite colors and I really like it for my hair. I've been dyeing my hair since I was like 15 or 16. So I don't like my natural hair color. I won't say what color it is, but this is what I like. Very
interesting. We like it. We do like the color of her hair. And she's got more to tell us than the color of her hair here on Style with Roses with a very special episode where we talk about from finance and economics into culinary and finding the sweet taste through your experiences. Stay with us. We will be right back when she joins me on the couch. See you soon. Welcome back to Style with Roses. In case you've just joined us, today we're going from finance to food and good food. So I'm sitting with Mwaka Munthali today, and she has got a very interesting background. She studied economics and finance in New Delhi in India, went to the United States, and stayed there for more than 10 years, then came back home with her family, joined financial institutions for about 8 years, and then she decided she's going to set up her own catering company called M's Catering Services. So now you tell us about that interesting journey. That's me just trying to figure you out. Mwaka, welcome to my couch.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here with you.
Right, so you tell the story best. Tell us about your diaspora journey.
I'm born and raised here, right here in Lusaka, a product of UTH.
Doing very well.
Funny
UTH
enough,
products.
yes, UTH products. So every so often I try to go to UTH and see what I can do there. But in 1991, my father was called into the diplomatic service and he was posted to India. So we left Zambia to go to India. I had just been accepted to University of Zambia, went there for only about a term. And then my father said, well, university had a lot of closures. Come with us. Let's have you go to university out here in India. And I went there. We were there for about 3 years. Very different place. We had been there previously in the late 70s. My dad had gone there as a junior staff. So I could still remember, the smell. Even when I got there in the 90s, that was something. It's a mixed aroma.
Smell.
Yes,
aroma
mixed
is
aroma. You've got the spices, the fruit, and then you've got the nature in there. So, but we were there for about 5 years, and I only went there for my university. As soon as I graduated, I did finance there, economics and BCom honors actually, and with a concentration in economics for developing countries.
Okay, so that's where your interest was initially.
That I'll tell you about my interest a little later.
Sure.
It's a different thing. But I did that. And then when I graduated, my father said, what do you want to do now? Do you want to go back to Zambia? Or what do you want to do? So he gave me pretty much a blank check.
Yeah.
And my sister was in Washington, D.C. at that time. And I thought, I can go to Washington, D.C. She was graduating. I wanted to attend a graduation. And then I said, let me see what it's like. So he said, go there and see if you like it.
Right.
So I embarked on my journey on my own, left India, spent a few months in the UK.
This was about 20, somewhere there?
This was in 20 years old or...
Yeah, the age range. Age range. We want to see how bold you should be when you decide to move from one country to another.
I just turned 21.
Okay, that's
I
young.
honestly just
Very
turned
young.
21. And I spent a few months in the UK, and then I got to Washington, D.C. Absolutely loved it. Got there in the cold season. I'd arrived.
That's a good one. Is that where you would say you met your husband or your children, or that's still coming?
I met my husband and my children in Washington, D.C. He
Right.
was also there, and he's Zambian as well,
Right.
Munthali.
Okay.
He had been there with his mother. She was also in the diplomatic service. So we went, and we met there, and but I'd gone first to be with my sister.
Okay.
Liked it, enjoyed being there. Very difficult in the beginning to integrate myself
I'd imagine.
into a different culture. The heavy tongue, we pronounce things differently. So when I'm speaking, and I'm thinking I'm speaking English. Why are these
But it's
people-
very different because that's your sister. Welcome to the United States of America.
And here I am saying thank you.
I think we need to take a quick break before Mwaka and I decide that we are Americans. Don't go away. You would want to hear more about Mwaka Munthali coming back home and setting up her own catering company called M's. Stay right there.
Just like a rose.
Audio Jungle.
Welcome back. In case you have just joined us, today's conversation is with an amazing woman, Mwaka Munthali. I say amazing because she's now decided she's moving from her economics and finance qualification and a stint in the finance sector, decides she wants to focus on the sweet taste of culinary experience and a catering company. But then now, before the break, we were in the United States, we were trying to understand American English, which is really not English as we know it. So now you're back home. Tell us a little bit about what it was like when you came back home. What did you do? What are you doing now?
It was a decision that we made with my husband while we were in America. By then we already had our 2 children, and my daughter would come home for holidays, not so often, once in a while, and she would really love the experience that she would have had. My son hadn't experienced it yet, so we decided at this point, let's try and get the best of both worlds. Go home and see how we can set up and see if we can live home. Let's go somewhere where we can be the majority for once.
How old were the children then?
My daughter was 8 and my son was 4.
That's young.
That was very young.
Okay.
It was a little bit of an adjustment for them. This was a life they had been used to. But anyway, we made the decision, but we decided to come back, and I came first.
Okay.
So I came with my kids and settled. And then my children, because I wasn't really fully settled, they went back and stayed with their father, but I had come back then. And you know, the adjusting period, getting
Was that
to
tough?
relearn what Zambia was. You know, I've coined it as reverse culture shock, where when I left, I was culturally shocked by these different places where we were living. But then coming back home, my 15 years away had really undone a lot of things.
It's a lot of time.
Yeah, a lot of things that I'd grown up knowing. You know, people would drop in and just say hi, and I would be like, but why did they come without an appointment? Because now I've gotten used to the appointment.
Hello, can
You
we
know?
come in?
And this thing of, oh, now there's a funeral, let's go. And I'm like, who died? Ah, you remember this person? Yeah, now her aunt. And I'm like, I didn't know the aunt.
It's a long explanation.
Yes.
The neighbor's uncle's friend.
Exactly. I didn't know the aunt. So how are we going? No. And I said, okay, in Africa, we are very extended family.
Yeah.
In the US and where I was coming from, it is nuclear. Me, my husband, my kids.
That's
Here,
all. Keep your own
yes.
business, just your
All to
home base,
yourself.
just your little unit
Exactly.
going on there. Okay.
So those were just little things. I would get lost. Someone would say, come, I'm in North Mid. I remember where North Mid was, but then, you know, the way to go there, maybe somewhere where there was nothing, there's now a big building, there's a mall, there's a hospital. So
Very different.
Yeah, very
I was
different.
very intrigued because obviously we've had a conversation before we brought it here. I know that when you came back, getting back into the workspace, tell us a little bit about that. You starting your job, how it started and how you got there, just in a very short summary.
Yeah, I got, a friend introduced me to someone who had also come back and was coming to run a major bank in Zambia. And they said, wouldn't you like to work with her? So I met with her and she said, let's go. You are the person I'm looking for. That's how I joined this international bank.
Deep end.
Deep end, right into the MD's office. I'd never worked in a bank. I'd been working in non-profit organizations.
Yeah.
And now I was working in a for-profit, very different culture in both NGOs in America, work ethic different, Zambia, for-profit, different.
But then obviously you did something right because you spent 8 years.
I spent
in that
8
space.
years, and at that time the bank, I'd moved in the bank, I'd moved from MD's office, I'd now even run a branch, and then the bank was giving retrenchment packages, you know, voluntary separations. They were shrinking, and I opted for it. We agreed with my husband, and he said, let's go. And I thought, what am I going to do? But I'd already been doing quite a bit of cooking. So I thought, I think I'll...
So it's just a natural gift or
Yes.
a hobby? It started off as a hobby?
It didn't start off as a hobby. As you asked me before, that was my passion when I graduated from school.
Yeah.
I wanted to go and join a culinary arts school. But my parents were very traditional. I'd been accepted at the University of Zambia.
It was very systematic before. Because you've studied this is the ultimate career that you're going to end up in, and it's got nothing to do with passion.
Exactly. Why are you going to not go to the university when you've been accepted to go and learn how to cook? Anybody can cook. That was what they say.
Okay, so anybody can cook, but can everybody do M's Catering? I'm loving this. Before we go for a quick break, just tell us a little bit more about the inspiration behind M's. Why M's?
M's is for Munthalis. So this is Munthali's catering services. It's a family thing. My husband is passionate about cooking too, by the way. Most of the time he helps me out too. When you call for M's, it's actually I who cooks.
Personal touch.
Personal touch.
Right. I'm liking that. And on that spicy note, I see that there's a spice here.
Spices.
Is this something you create yourself
This
as
is
well?
what we create. We
Okay.
mimic, but that is the 5 spice.
Okay.
And this is a Spanish braai mix.
Spanish braai mix. Okay. Wonderful. So here we go. We've moved from finance to catering. Well, she calls it culinary because she had a passion for that. Don't go away. More interesting conversations continue with Mwaka Munthali only on Style with Roses. See you after the break.
Hi, I'm Mwaka Munthali, chef owner of M's Catering and Training Services. I'm a flourishing rose, hanging out with Rose Sibisi on Style with Roses. As it has been for me, it can be for you.
welcome back. In case you've just joined us, having a great conversation with Mwaka Munthali, who was away in the diaspora for more than 10 years, moving from New Delhi, USA, a bit of UK here and there, and then back home in Zambia. She'd had a taste of the corporate space in the finance sector, but she decided, no man, I want to follow my passion, which is culinary. I'm really enjoying pronouncing this, culinary. There was an interesting explanation around the Spanish spice. Why don't you just go straight into that a little bit and then just share with us why you think going into culinary or catering has got a relevance in growing today's economy through entrepreneurship in the food industry. Where's the connect?
So part of the training that you do when you're going to chef school, they'll teach you how to make your own spices.
Okay.
You blend. You need to know what goes with what. I'm not going to bore you with the details.
Yeah, okay.
I know you may want to know at one point.
I do.
But there are different spices that you can actually mix to come up with a good blend. So when I went to Spain, I took a class.
Okay.
A short class. And this was what I learned, how to make this braai mix. Okay. It's with a Spanish, paprika. It's a very good smoky flavor.
And braai mix deliberately so because we liked braai.
And that's what we do, exactly.
Hey, we like our shokaring and shisa nyama.
Nyama, exactly. You know about that.
I do. Shisa nyama in South Africa. Yeah.
Exactly. And then this is a blend. It's an Asian blend. It's a 5 spice. Okay. So they've got their 5 most popular spices, mix it up, and whenever you want to have any type of Asian flair in your food, you use this 5 spice. So I can get all these and then we blend them on our own. Like I told you earlier on, when I left the bank, I decided I wanted to go and I wanted to come I was a little bit old. I know you keep asking me about my age.
We don't talk age here. You don't talk. You're only as young as you feel. A lady doesn't tell, but it's good to be proud of the experience as well. Yeah, 21 is okay. So I just want to know more about the catering services. You've alluded to having a select niche clientele that you do catering for, and you personally cook those meals yourself. So how does that translate into a viable business entity for you?
It works, and it works very well because everything we do we custom make.
Right.
One of the main things that I learned when I was out in the UK, I went to one of the top UK culinary arts schools by choice. And because I was coming in at a much later age, I needed to come in with the good credentials.
And you invested in you.
And I invested in me. And that was a very, very big point.
Yeah.
If you're going to do something, you need to invest in yourself. So from there, we learned how to do tailor-made. What fits you may not fit the next person. So I didn't want to have this thing where you have a set menu, this is the price that it is, and anyone who comes, this is what they pick from. I sit down with the clients, we talk, and you tell me exactly what you want.
Right.
I can come and chef from your home. I can cater from 10 people to 100 people. We've capped to 100. We don't want to lose our quality after that.
Right. So there is still opportunities for expansion when it comes to the food industry, you would say?
There is a lot. Okay. Like I feel Zambia is poised for tourism. Tourism, people when you go on holiday, what do you want to do?
Organic food as well.
Exactly. What do you want to do when you go on holiday? You want to eat, rest, see whatever sights are there. In the game park, it's food. In the hotels, it's food. At the Victoria Falls, it's food. And we have such a rich culture that is really surrounded around food. Our weddings, our funerals are all about the food.
Brings us all together. It's the sports and the food. You never go wrong with good food. And definitely on that note, with the good food that we all need, we could all do with some private chef services. I don't know about you, but I'm having a great time and learning a lot about food in a good way from Mwaka Munthali. Don't go away, because when we come back on Style with Roses, she will be passing the rose. See you soon.
Just like a rose.
welcome back. We're having such a great time here on Style with Roses, where we are hanging out with Mwaka Munthali, economics and finance specialist, worked in the finance sector, and she decided to finally follow her passion for culinary and catering business, as you would call it. I'm very, very amused, and it shows that the different places that you go to actually inspire different elements of that gift or that passion. And I say so because when we were looking at the spices earlier, you had one from like Indian and Oriental. This would have been inspired from New Delhi, and then you had the Spanish, but very bright, African focused. So that's you around the world. You've now had the experiences, settled back home in Zambia. Why was it so important for you to come back home?
I wanted to be a majority. I wanted to live back home. And what I dreamt home would be like is exactly what it is. Everything that I envisioned, that if I go back to Zambia, this is what I want to do. I'm proud to say I've actually done them. And I'm still doing them.
Would you say that one of the big things that you want to do when you come back home, and hence you choosing what you're doing, is about impact? Would I be right in saying so?
Yes, it is. Okay. It's about impact. Trying to get Zambia, you know, we are always called developing countries, and I'm coming from a developed nation. I feel Zambia can get there. And how can I get there? Whatever little we can do to contribute.
Taken what you've learned while you're there and brought it back home, and now you're applying it. Yes. This is what we like. And on Style with Roses, we have this tradition called Pass the Rose, because pretty much what brought you back home, you want to give impact, you want to inspire others, you want to call them to action. We would like you to do that while you're here. So that's our very nice parting segment with you, where I will ask someone to bring me the rose. With the inspiration that you've had, I want you to call out a young girl. Specifically this season, we're focusing on the rural girl child, because they will not have access to resources, access to knowledge, access to people who would probably do what your dad did for you and take you on the other side of the world and allow you to live his pride, which was study economics and finance. Probably wanted you to be an accountant or a finance director one day, but you came home and you said, I'm going to follow my passion and I'm going to cook, and I want to bring back what I've learned back home and impact lives. So with this rose, a budding rose, speak to a young rural girl who one day will need to follow her passion, even without resources, without networks, without people that will take you there. What would you say to that little girl so that she too can be inspired? Or a little boy, when you talk about catering and culinary and the service industry, the boy child.
To the young Zambian who's listening to me, I will say to them, stay focused in everything you do, in everything you say. Stay focused. Have a clear vision of what you want to do, and make sure that you put all your energies and any resource that you may have towards that. And a dream will come true, not in a week, maybe in a year, maybe in 5 years, 10 years, or like me, 20 years later after graduating.
Wow, and that's you passing the rose. And definitely one young person has been inspired by your story, because you dared to dream and you dared to execute and implement the dream. Because that's the other thing. There's a difference in dreaming and there's a difference in actually actioning the dream. But now, I want to now take advantage in the witness of many. You talked about you do private chef services and you can go to private homes. So if people want to tap into your services or engage you to come and do some of those delicious meals, where do they find you, and how are you reached? How do you offer your services? Okay,
they can always reach me on by phone.
Okay.
It's 0978 017085.
Okay.
Or they can reach us on mscateringandtraining@gmail.com. And we are located in New Kasama, where we'll be opening our commercial kitchen very soon. and I'm talking weeks.
Weeks.
Yes.
New Kasama Lusaka.
New Kasama Lusaka.
Right.
And that's where we'll be doing some training, team building, anything. And that's where we do all our catering from.
I really like that. So it's not just about offering the catering services, but you're also now training. So therefore, you're multiplying, developing skills and capacity building. That's what we like. So even with this conversation, that is the appreciation that we have and why we wanted you to grace us on Style with Roses today, because we are so appreciative of people like you that decide to share your gift by impacting others and also training others to come along with you. So thank you so much, Mwaka, for joining me this afternoon. I definitely will be calling on those services so that we make sure that our taste buds get that nice food from M's. So congratulations and well done for everything that you're doing. Food is definitely everyday life survival, so we need that. Thank you so much for that.
I'll say touche to you too. Congratulations for what you're doing, because you are also a diaspora person.
I am, indeed I am. 17 years away and then found my way back. But this is why we're doing what we're doing. We can only tell the stories from our own experiences. So this is why we're having this conversation.
You're in a good space.
Thank you. So on that note, I would just like to thank Mwaka again for joining me on this thrilling episode where we tampered with our taste buds. Be sure to follow her with M's Catering Services. Follow Style with Roses, where we bring you different profiles, personalities, and engaging conversations from those that have had the opportunity to go into the diaspora. Whatever you do, remember, whether you've been to the diaspora or not, here at home is where the heart is. And you must always remember to bud, blossom, and flourish, because that's what roses do. Until next time, this has been Rose Sibisi. See you soon.
What you want, you can do it. What you want, you can get it. You only got one life. Keep on chasing that sunlight. You can flourish if you do try. Blossom, let them see you in your new shine. Shine like gold, bloom like a rose. It's a long way from the ground up, but you keep it moving, keep it non-stop. Shine like gold, bloom like a rose. Shine like bloom, just like